There's always a predator. You didn't see it coming because you felt sheltered. That's what Krakoa does. Makes everyone feel safe. And when you're safe, you're soft. Today on the Comic Book Report, Benjamin Percy's X-Force Hardcover, Volume 1. Stick around and check it out. Greetings all, my name is Dominic and you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today we're taking a look at another Dawn of X era hardcover with Benjamin Percy's X-Force, Volume 1. If you have been around the channel lately, you know I really love these oversized hardcovers from the Dawn of X. We've already reviewed Marauders, Excalibur, and a few others in some various videos, but I can't wait to talk to you today about X-Force. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Benjamin Percy and penciled by Joshua Cassara. The issues collected were first published by Marvel Comics beginning in 2019. This volume collects X-Force issues 1 through 12, and finally, this oversized hardcover comes in at 336 pages. At this time, I'd like to issue a brief spoiler warning. I will be flipping through today's volume as well as commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at that X-Force oversized hardcover. And like all of these other Dawn of X era oversized hardcovers Marvel's been releasing, insofar as it's been sticking to that minimalist design style, so we have a nice cover art with the title, of course, along the side, very basic spine, and of course the back cover is basically blank. Every one of these oversized hardcovers has a color for the most part. This one's kind of a burnt orange looking color. Really simply made, but really well done. I've really enjoyed these collections. Like I've said, they look really good on a bookcase. Love seeing more of these oversized hardcovers. Let's take a look at the dust jacket art, and then in a moment we'll look at under the dust jacket. Like I said, there's a very similar stylistic design choice here. Under the dust jacket, the artwork is effectively a stylized version of the title. So in this case, it's X-Force, broken up a little bit, you can see here. Really nice, nothing really to complain about here. And after I'm done under the dust jacket here, I did want to go ahead and give you all a look at the binding real quick. Nothing too spectacular here, very similar binding to the rest of the oversized hardcovers, but I wanted to make sure all the collectors out there can take a look. And with all of this out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the collection proper today. As I mentioned, this is Benjamin Percy's X-Force, the oversized hardcover, Volume 1. I love these oversized editions. They stand as tall as the Marvel Omnibus line, so they look really great along a bookcase if you collect those as well. I did want to mention that these are a glossy print page. However, I think I brought this up in my haul video. For whatever reason, the X-Force oversized hardcover, at least my printing, it appears that the page stock, the paper stock, is a little thinner than some of the other collections. There's a little bit of bleed through in some of the paneling, which we've seen lately with some of these Marvel books. I don't think it's terrible at all, but you can take a look as we go through the collection and see what I'm talking about. I'm not worried about ripping these pages or anything. It's still thick enough, but it is kind of interesting to note that the paper quality feels a little bit different than some of those other collections. As far as what you can get with the Benjamin Percy X-Force, at least these first 12 issues, it's just really a fun time. For those unfamiliar, X-Force is generally the kind of black ops, intense, more violent missions that the mutants undergo, and this incarnation is really no different. This is definitely the most violent entry in the Dawn of X that I have read thus far, but it is one of my favorites. Something that I believe might be newer for this run as well is that there's kind of two arms of this X-Force team. We have the more cerebral, intelligence-based X-Force with Beast, Jean Grey, and Sage, and then the more actual Black Ops militaristic kind of fighting squad with Wolverine, Quentin Quire, Domino, people like that. It's a really interesting book. I think that something I enjoyed about it was that it was more mission heavy. It had more kind of conspiracy thriller elements to it, and it got us off the island maybe a little bit more than some of the other Dawn of X titles. And I'm not really even sure how to say it, but this one really stood apart for me. I think thus far, like I said, this might be my favorite Dawn of X title I've read. I have not read, everything extensively, but with Marauders, Excalibur, X-Men, some of those other ones, this one really is a step above. Probably this and X-Men so far are my favorite that I have read. I do love Wolverine. I'm a sucker for him, and I do overall really like how Percy handled the character in this volume. It felt like Wolverine to me. I also think Quentin Quire was also a very fun addition. I've been reading a lot of Wolverine and the X-Men recently, so it's fun to see that dynamic now after their relationship has evolved a little bit. The kind of dynamic is fun. I think something I didn't expect in this volume that actually ended up being one of my favorite parts is that this is really Domino's book. I've read Domino in a few other issues of different books before. I'm aware of her character, and I've always really enjoyed her, but this is really where I feel like she shines. I think that she was the standout in this whole collection. She was fascinating. She had the most tragic arc, and I just was glued anytime it was about her, and there was quite a bit. Which leads me to the overall story arcs. There are quite a few. We have kind of the search for Domino, the kind of retribution and what happens after, what's everything that's involved with Domino's story arc. We also have an overgrown kind of sentient plant island full of inhabitants that are kind of intense. We also have a lot going on in this volume with the character of Beast. He kind of overplays his hand in some ways, really adds some nuance and layering to that character that I personally didn't love. I think that I prefer my Beast to be a little more straightforward and noble than maybe the kind of Beast we got here that is always kind of evaluating with some ulterior motives, I'll say. But it was a really great cast of characters. There were a fun selection of storylines throughout this with a kind of overarching conspiracy about a group of people that were trying to systematically wipe out and assassinate mutants, mutant sympathizers, mutant supporters. And the X-Force is really tasked with keeping Krakoa safe as well as trying to eliminate the threat to their mutant sovereignty. And that's really the thrust of this book. They kind of frame it as X-Force is kind of the security force, both in Krakoa and abroad, to ensure mutant interests, and maybe doing things that the rest of the mutant community shouldn't or can't do. I know that in this Dawn of X era, there's a kind of no-killing policy that is really, really loose when it comes to X-Force, ergo some of the violence we've talked about. It's also a really interesting thing to see a really intense Black Ops mission, violent kind of book in a world where these mutants can be resurrected. I think it really adds a different set of stakes as they can go even further and push things even farther, knowing that conceivably they could be resurrected. I think, again, this is where Domino's arc gets really complicated. I don't want to spoil too much, but essentially early on, we find out that Domino is kidnapped by this evil mutant terrorist group and has been experimented on, kind of flayed or skinned alive in some ways, and had her skin and DNA used to make gene therapy super soldiers that have Domino's luck. So she's really damaged and is kind of held together psychically, I guess I'll say. And she's really, mentally scarred from all the torture. Her powers and her luck are diminished because others are using it. And she kind of tries to hunt them down and get her luck back with taking down each of them. And there's also this idea of she could just resurrect and be whole, but then will she lose part of herself that's been through this trauma that she needs to have to grow as a person and to finish her mission? And that's really a broader thing that's explored throughout this volume that, again, I really think it makes it Domino's book, and it makes it so strong. And before we reach the end of our collection, I have to talk about the art by Cassara in this collection. It is some of my favorite X-Men art in recent memory. It is stunning, it is highly detailed, and the colorist also did really good. It's very vibrant and lush, and that's really a lot of fun. There's definitely more of a gritty realism to the artwork seen throughout this book. It's extremely consistent, and like I said, just some of my favorite X-Men artwork I've seen in quite a while. And like so many of the other Dawn of X oversized hardcovers, we end the collection with some of the cover gallery and some of the bonus art, bonus features in the back here. I love seeing it. I love getting extras. They're like the special features of these book collections, and this is no different. I really enjoyed this collection, and I think it's time we go ahead and give it a grade. for that gorgeous, gritty, realistic artwork, coupled with some expertly plotted conspiracy thriller story arcs, and an incredible cast of characters, including fan favorites Wolverine, and for me, in this volume, Domino. The Comic Book Report is proud to give Benjamin Percy's X-Force hardcover, Volume 1, a B+. Like I said, this is a standout from the Dawn of X era, and for fellow fans of the Merry Mutants, I consider this a must-read. Have you read Benjamin Percy's X-Force? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. On your way out, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and check out some of our other videos. Until next time, have a good one.